Weird when it does that. Well, good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Steve Collins coming to you from beautiful San Antonio, Texas, the second most powerful, passionate, and purposeful coach and speaker in the world. Fired up because this is my very last video on my personal page. As of today, all videos will be going to Steve Collins, the Voice of One, W-O-N, like we won, y'all, the Voice of One page on Facebook. So those of you that enjoy the daily free inspirational, motivational, deep thought videos have the opportunity to continue to enjoy those by going to Voice of One - Steve Collins. It's got my picture on there with the Zig Ziglar background. Succeeding through others. So many people don't have a clear understanding of what this means. It becomes manipulated and twisted very easily by folks who envision a bigger lives, or a bigger life for themselves. And when they hear succeeding through others, the imagery that typically conjures up is, how can I get other people to do stuff so that I can benefit? That's normally what the initial conversation is, and that's not what succeeding through others is at all. Succeeding through others is an entirely different concept that is largely based on the development of other leaders in your life. So one of the things that we see that gets manipulated is people will love things and use people instead of loving people and using things. So there are folks that are able to attract and gather and even entice to come on board, working with them or working for them or being a part of their organization, maybe because there is great gifting. Maybe there's great talent, but what we know for a fact is that gifting and talent can take you somewhere, but only character and integrity will keep you there. So if someone is not living what their example to others can be, ultimately that lack of authenticity shows up, losing credibility, and their ability to lead well and to succeed through others begins to fail and diminish. So what does it mean really to succeed through others? There's so many tools in HR nowadays, and even in Keller Williams. The latest is the KPA, the Keller Personality Assessment, which is up to a 54-page, sometimes 60-page detailed analysis of how to determine who is talent. But attracting talent to a team or a group is not the same as being able to train, lead, and motivate and keep talent. I love what Gary Keller said when he talked about his executive staff. They're all independently wealthy. They don't have to work anymore. They're on a mission. They all have big visions for their lives. He said, my vision has to be up here, and my vision has to be big enough to encapsulate their vision, because when their vision becomes bigger than my vision, they move on, and they should. He said something that was very profound for me, not only in business but in my marriage. He said, I must continually earn the right for them to choose to stay in business with me. Catch that again. He said, I must continually earn the right for them to choose to stay in business with me. You see, that's when you see leadership at its highest form. If you see these really big mega churches, what you find is typically a great leader, because most of the church is being run by volunteer, because there's true leadership happening, and it's typically because the person at the helm of the ship has learned, and here's the secret, has learned how to enrich the lives of others. Succeeding through others begins with, number one, being able to lead yourself, and number two, being more focused on the development and the growth and the joy of those entrusted to your stewardship to live big lives. If they are not the most important clients first before your clients or customers, then I'm going to tell you it's likely going to be a short-lived event, and you're going to go through multiple people. Ask a guy who knows, who went through 17 assistants in his first 12 years in the business. I remember coming home one night. It was a very poignant picture. Angela was at the stove cooking spaghetti, and she had one baby on one leg, one on the other leg, and one in the belly. And I came home and I was complaining and whining again about how nobody wants to work as hard as me. Nobody puts in the effort like I do. Ain't nobody's care about excellence. Ain't nobody's got that same work ethic. And she leaned away from the stove, and I have to pull over for this because it was so funny. It's burned in my memory. She leaned away from the stove, Angela did, And she went like this, get her hair out of the way because it was hot in there, with one baby on one leg, one on the other, and baby in the belly. And she looked at me plainly and she says, I'm just going to say this one time, Steve. She said, the common denominator in all those failed relationships is Steve Collins. And she turned around and walked out of our lives forever. No, not like that. She stayed there. But you want to talk about an oh snap moment. Oh dang is right, Brother Wayne. I freaked and I went, it's not them, it's me. Oh my gosh, I am a bad leader. I'm not a good leader. I may be motivated, I may be gifted, I may be talented, I may be fired up, I may be inspired, and yet I do not know how to lead other people. I'm not operating with mercy and grace. I'm thinking about the business and the details and excellence and my reputation. I'm not fully focused on and engaged in the personal growth and development of the people who have chosen to be a part of what I have put together. And Bubba, let me tell you, that was the game changer for me. She's here with me today. Thank you, baby doll, for that. She is, oh my goodness. Hey, she's the hammer and I'm the anvil, and I'm actually kind of grateful for it. So here's what's going on when it comes to this reality of succeeding through others. You can't succeed through others thinking about yourself. You really can't succeed through others thinking about what they're going to do for you as the primary motivation. To truly succeed through other people, it's a heart thing. It's not a manipulation thing. It's not a script thing. It's not a dialogue thing. It's not a process. It's not a system. You cannot fake. You cannot fake that you care about people. Friends, you either care about them or you don't care about them. You're either really committed and fully invested into them living big lives, or you're not. And here's the key factor that I came up with, because I had all the naysayers. Well, why would you train them and tell them all your good stuff and all your secrets? Because they're just going to get wings and fly away. They're just going to leave you. Well, like Gary Keller said, I must continually earn the right for them to choose to stay in business with me. You see, what makes me a great dad is not that I'm going to have a 43-year-old son living in my basement playing video games. That makes me a terrible dad. What makes me a good dad is I equip, I prepare. I prepare the child for the path. I don't prepare the path for the child. And my success is that I can launch and release them. And it's the same thing on my team. Everybody knows in my coaching team and staff and on the real estate team and staff, everybody knows I don't hold on to people like this. I just focus on upping and building the biggest life I possibly can for them. And that's my primary focus. Big life. Now I have standards, and the standards must be met. I've had to let people go. I've had to reintroduce them back into the marketplace because after attempts to develop and provide opportunities, we can be friends and we don't have to be in business together because there's certain standards and expectations that I have. And yet, I'm pouring into the people that have been entrusted to my stewardship, and they are the most important people to me. My clients are unbelievably important. They're just, those that work with me, unbelievably important to me. And there's no way to fake that. I love them, I care about them, I want to see the best for them, and we're intentional about pouring life into them. Do you want to succeed through others? You got to care about them. You got to care about them more than you really care about anything else, and you have to be willing to sacrifice and lay your life down from time to time and lay your agendas down from time to time and have the mercy and grace to be patient through training, much like with us, with having 7 kids, Angela and I. Every time we run out the door, it is so much easier for me to just tie one of my little boy's shoes and get out the door than it is to stop and slow down and go through this lengthy process of helping them to do it themselves. But you've got to put that time in. Do you want to succeed through others? Number 1, learn to lead yourself well. Number 2, make the people who have entrusted their livelihoods to you more important than anybody else. When you do that, you're off to a fighting start, and hold them like this. Hold them like this and realize that you have to constantly earn the right for them to choose to stay in business with you. Hope you guys learned something and have a great day.